Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Elements of Success. I'm your host, Talha Jarad. We are talking about success and how to achieve the maximum success in life, and as a matter of fact, as Muslims, the maximum achievement in life and the hereafter. Now, we've discussed before some of the universal laws, and we mentioned after that some of the grand universal laws, the three grand universal laws. We discussed before the law of divine will and decree, and we said this law is probably the most important law of all. It's the critical law that governs the universe, that whatever happens, it says that, this law says that whatever happens this universe, not only on earth, not on the individual basis, but in the entire universe, happens by the order of Allah and by His will only. Now, as simple as it sounds, well, a lot of people will say, well, we know this, but it is very difficult to apply, it's very difficult to understand its applications in different aspects of life, and to live by this law completely and put our lives around it. Now, as we said before, it's very important to differentiate and distinguish between understanding and comprehending this law and not doing anything in your life. Yes, there are things that are decreed, and things will face you anyway that you might have not even considered before or thought of. But at the same time, you are responsible of changing your situation. We mentioned the story of the Prophet Jacob, peace be upon him. We also mentioned what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about those who were oppressed. They were oppressed, and when the time of death came, and they were asked by the angels, why you didn't change your situation? They said, we were oppressed in the land. So the reply from the angels will be, well, why wasn't the land of Allah so spacious that you could have migrated in it? So yes, there are things that happen, but you are responsible of changing the situation. And we also stated that with every single challenge, problem, turmoil, hardship you face, there are opportunities for growth, for change, for improvement, enhancement, as Allah stated, verily with the hardship there is an ease, verily with the hardship there is an ease. And we said that, the scholar said, with every one hardship, you're going to have two eases based on this verse. With every hardship, there are two eases that face you. Now, what you should do when you have a challenge, a problem, a turmoil that you cannot handle, you cannot deal with, because something is beyond your capacity, and you can change it, just lean forward. Lean forward, let it pass. Lean forward, let it pass. It's like, have you seen the corns, and when there is strong winds, or even sometimes storms, corns know how to deal with it. They just lean forward, and the strong winds will just pass through, and it will go away, and then they will come back stronger and better. But if you look at the long, huge, big trees, even though they are stronger than the corn as plants, but they don't know how to deal with the winds. So if you look at a very long, tall tree and there is a storm, the first thing that you notice is that the longer the tree, the faster it gets broken. And this is exactly what the Prophet mentioned, that the example of a believer is like the plants that know how to deal with the winds, while the example of the hypocrite is like the tree of rice. It's strong for a while, but when there is a strong wind, it just gets broken completely and at once. So this is very important to understand and to comprehend how to deal with the situation. If it is beyond your capacity, if you cannot change anything in it, just accept it and live your life satisfied with the decree of Allah. Now, if you do this, because otherwise you could live the entire life, the rest of your life, living in memories, living in sad situation that happened to you, and you never achieve anything in life because you live in the past. And there are people who live in the past. They live their entire life in the past. And whenever something happens to them, they live in that thing, and they just get stuck in it, and they never move forward. As a matter of fact, worse yet, some people blame themselves a lot for bad things that happen to them, to the point where they become completely disabled, because of the way that they interpret things to them and explain things to them. Listen to this very powerful narration from the Prophet, peace be upon him. He said, and seek the help of Allah and do not be disabled, and rest assured that whatever befalls upon you, do not say, had I done this or had I done that, I would have been this, or that would have been the situation. But says, Allah has decreed, and whatever He willed happened. Allah has decreed, and whatever He willed happened. And the Prophet then explained to us why we should say this. He said, because the word had I, when you always think of had I done this, had I done that, opens the door for Satan. Why? Now because you open the memories for the past, and you always live in the past, so you live in negatively. You live in negative mode. All the time you think of negatively, so you live in a negative situation, because as we said before, the situation that you are in depends on what you think. The dominant thought in your head will impact your feelings. If you think of good thing, you will be happy. For example, if you think of something good right now, a place that you like, a situation that you love, you feel relieved, you feel happy, you feel certain good emotions happening in your body. But if you think negatively or think of something that was bad that happened to you, you feel bad, you feel upset, you feel anxious. So this is why the Prophet told us that do not say had I, because if you say had I, you live in this negativity mode, and then you live in the past, you get imprisoned in this negative emotion, and you cannot proceed. So that's one thing why the Prophet warned us not to say this. And look what he said also, that it opens the door for Satan. So what do you think Satan wants for you and me? Do you think he wants us to succeed? No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated that. He said his mission is to cause grief to the believers, to cause grief to those who believe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also said what Satan does to us. He said the devil or the Satan promises you poverty and commands on you profanity. So promises you poverty and commands on you profanity. This is what he wants from us. This is what he plans all the time against us. This is what he executes all the time against us. And if we don't understand how to deal with such situation, we might get trapped, as the Prophet told us, get trapped in the past, get trapped in the negative mode, and you never achieve. Remember, we're talking about success. And to be able to succeed, you have to learn how to do with the life situation, how you deal with the circumstances, how to live your life irrespective of the situations that happen. Success is not easy. Success is a challenging endeavor. And you will face challenges in your way and in your path towards success. So you have to understand, you might find things that might impact your entire course towards success. And as we said before, part of our lives as human beings, part of our lives as people living on this earth is to face challenges, turmoils, problems. This is part of what we have to deal with, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated. We will be tried by different circumstances of loss of wealth, loss of health, hunger, decrease in the crops, and even in the souls and people. You might get somebody who's very close and beloved to you. He might die or she might die. Now, if you can't change the situation, we can't change the past. If something happens, it happened already. You can't change it. You can't deal with it if something dies. All what you can deal with is to rest assured that this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted, this is what He willed, and this is what He prescribed, this is what He decreed. And ask Him for help, ask Him for support, ask Him to help you and make you able to deal with the situation. And remember what the Prophet advised us to say in such a situation: we are Allah's, and to Him we are returning. We are Allah's, and to Him we are returning. Oh Allah, reward me for my problem, or for my turmoil, or for my disastrous situation, and give me better things in the future. So look forward for the future. Ask Allah to reward you for what happened and look forward for the future. And if you combine this with the law of intention, you're going to have a very powerful combination, because now you believe that whatever happened to you happened because Allah wants to reward you, raise your rank. And as we said in the law of justice, sometimes because you did something towards other people, so you better pay it in this life rather than pay it in the hereafter. So you see, this is why we say these are grand laws, the 3 grand laws, very important. They are like the tripod. They build your life in a balanced way. The law of intention, whatever you do, ask Allah to give you a reward for it, and seek sincere intention in everything you do for the sake of Allah. Number 2, the law of absolute justice, that everything happens in this world happens because of what you commit, what you did, and there's an absolute justice that governs this universe, that governs this world completely, absolute justice, whether you see it or accept it or not, because justice in Islam spans beyond this life and goes to the hereafter. And then the law of divine will and decree, and all of these laws work together to build a stable, strong Muslim personality, a person who knows how to deal with the situation, a person who knows that he confronts any challenge that comes in his way in the best possible way. This is probably what the best explanation of the narration of the Prophet, that be satisfied of what Allah has prescribed to you, you will be the richest of all. Be satisfied with what Allah has prescribed upon you, what Allah has given you, what Allah has decided for you. You will be the richest of all people. Yes, because you will be rich inside. You will have internal satisfaction that it's extremely difficult to attain without this knowledge that this is the decree of Allah, that this is by the mere blessing of Him. And understanding these laws, the 3 grand laws, how they work together, build you in a very strong way to be the most successful person. And as you can see, you see that Islam really builds success in very important laws that deals with the person inside, and deals with the circumstances, and deals with life. As a matter of fact, another very important application for the law of divine will and decree is what happens not only in you personally, but for the entire globe. Whatever happens in the entire globe is decreed by Allah. And it's the will of Allah who wanted this to happen, not the will of anybody, not the plan of anybody, not the plot of anybody, but it's the plan of Allah that gets executed all the time. Understanding this makes you live in complete satisfaction internally, and makes you resilient to challenges and problems, and build you to be the most successful and to unleash your potential to the maximum. I ask Allah to make us all successful and to apply all of these laws in our life to achieve the maximum. See you next time, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.